Who's got more to prove this season? Jaden Ivey or Jalen Duren? Both going into a contract year. Who's got more to prove?
I think it's Jaden Ivey for sure. It's Jaden Ivey.
Ooh,
Like
okay.
if you think of more to prove as like more to prove to the front office to get paid, Jalen Duren I feel has done and showed enough to be like he's gonna get if he sort of just continues what he's been doing, improves slightly, he's gonna get a contract from this team. He's gonna be paid well. Jaden Ivey, if he has another year like he had last year, like the contract and the contract number is getting iffy. And so we did not see like there was not crazy improvement in the second year. Some might say even a decline. And if he has another year like his second year, the conversations about Jaden Ivey get a lot more scary. We get to having like I'm not even gonna say it, but it's fucking rhymes with Smillion Pays talk. Uh, so I think Jaden Ivey, like to show that he's like a legit NBA guy and like a guy who can help the Pistons win, has like a lot to prove this coming season, more than JD, I think.
You make a really good point, but I guess I'm kind of going to lead this question into another question. I'll let you go first so it doesn't seem like I stole anything away from you. Whose improvement would bode better for the team overall? If Jaden Ivey scores, say, 20 points a game, is that more impactful than Jalen Duren blocking 1.5 blocks per game, averaging 1.5 blocks per game?
No, I think you're right there. If Jalen Duren makes a defensive jump, that is a total game changer for the Detroit Pistons. Absolutely.
Okay, because that's kind of like when I think most approved. That's why I think it's got to be Jalen Duren. But on the other hand, when you think about it, Jalen Duren is still 20 years old. Like the guy is still like basically a kid,
Jaden
and
Ivey
he's
is 21, so I
yeah.
mean,
I'm just saying like we've seen so much from Duren at the age of 20, whereas we still have so many question marks with Jaden Ivey, right? The consistency, the fit, the speed up, slow down. Can he the defense? Can he do all these things? Whereas with Jalen Duren, if he develops a shot, great. Well, we'll take that. But the one main big question with Duren is his defense. So I feel like the question marks are so much more for Jaden Ivey that maybe you're right. Maybe he does have more to prove. But for argument's sake, so we're not redundant on this pod because we all agree so much of the time. I'll go with Jalen Duren. Maybe Duren does have more to prove because if Jalen Duren cannot be a rim protector, he's not the answer at center for this team. He's done because that's why we were interested in Nick Claxton. That's why we were interested in Isaiah Hartenstein. Because if Jalen Duren doesn't protect the rim, a lot of things aren't going to work. Derek Lively was effective as he is because he does the things that Jalen Duren does, plus protect the rim, right? So I feel like Jalen Duren has to improve on defense if he wants to remain in Detroit. And I mean, of course, there's always going to be a role for like a lob threat, vertical spacing center who can play make. Like he's got all of that going for him already. But I feel like if he's going to be a part of this core, a part of us going forward, the starting center, he's got to play defense.
Yeah, Jalen Duren that guards is an all star. By the way, like just Jalen Duren from last year that plays like high level defense is an all star.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
But yeah, I mean it's a tough combo. I mean both of these guys like you say like if Jaden Ivey gets to 20, if Jaden Ivey like becomes a good winning player, like that's very impactful for this team as well. To have a guy like that, a scoring punch that is when he's punching so kind of unguardable, is would be massive for this team.
It would be. It would be. And it's such a tricky question because both of these guys are so vital to if this team has success. You know, like right now, technically, and we'll talk about this in the third segment, we don't have a backup point guard. So if Jaden Ivey is not producing, what do you do? Right? Because you can't turn to Marcus Sasser as your backup point guard. We saw how that worked out in Summer League. Marcus Sasser is not a point guard whatsoever. So if Jaden Ivey isn't the backup point guard, then what do you do? Maybe you do got to go out and sign a guy so that he can fill a gap. But then you're already down one of the guys you're considering part of the core of your team. And then you're back to square one, essentially. And if Jaden Ivey doesn't work out, everyone's like, yeah, trade him, trade him. Okay, but if he doesn't work out on the Pistons, what makes you think another team's going to want him? You know? So it just brings up so many question marks. What would you do if Jaden Ivey isn't performing early in the season?
If he's not performing early into the season, you let him keep trying to perform late into the season because like this season is still not like a be all end all year.
Very
Uh,
true.
and Jaden Ivey, I would if there's a guy that I would give time to like be like, here's a couple years, work on who you are, uh, become a better player. It would be Jaden Ivey because his game is very unique and his attitude and his what it seems like his work ethic is very unique and very good. Um, and in the game of basketball, like most things in this Pistons team will be running through Cade and pick and roll type stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of like the continuous music, like the beat of basketball. But then like Jaden Ivey comes in there with like it's a fucking like smash of percussion. It's just one. It's just here's the ball, and he's a step faster than the guy in front of him, so he just gets a bucket. You know, these
Mm-hmm.
things that, like you don't have to plan, you don't have to really execute. It's just him beating a guy that like would be that is so important, really. It's so like could be so valuable to this team.
So we're running out of time on this segment, but I want to pose one more question to you because you've said this on the pod countless times. You hate how Jaden Ivey just catches the ball and tries to blow by his guy, and when that doesn't work, he stalls out and it just takes a bad shot. You're basically saying right now, let Jaden Ivey do exactly what you hate. So, are you okay with now that we have spacing on this team? Are you okay with Jaden Ivey just saying like, all right, you me one on one, I'm gonna blow by you, and if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna use. He's obviously gained a lot of muscle this offseason. We've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
Use my muscle, get inside, and kick out and hope for the best. What is your
I would be like
ideal
a
role?
little more happy about that because if he's kicking out to a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. or Montez
Malik Beasley.
or Malik Beasley, I'm a little more happy about that honestly because like fact of the matter is the defender does usually come down. Fact of the matter is there were open threes last year that Jaden Ivey made. I
Mm-hmm.
would like it to be maybe it's a little less on the gas if he can't beat the guy off it. Ball goes away. Ball comes back. Guy is rotating back. Then he beats the guy off it because there's movement in the other direction. And Jaden Ivey's just like superhuman fast. Uh, so I want like part of what I want to see is how well he works into like the offense, right? And uses the skills that he has as a conducive offense, as a good positive offensive and defensive force. Defensive, he could be a monster too.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens this season. I think we're all optimistic, especially with JB Bickerstaff saying in his introductory press conference that he's ready to get Jaden Ivey the ball at half court with his hips facing the basket and just let him use his speed. I'm excited to see it. Hopefully, it works better than it has in the past. And with spacing, we'll have to wait and see. But let us know who you think has more to prove this offseason, Jalen Duren or Jaden Ivey, down in the comments below. We're going to move on to segment 3.